Hold on, Corey. We can't hear you now. We could hear you before. We've lost your vocals. What an intro. I think we had the intro of the year there and we don't know what happened to it. Well, we still can't hear you, Corey. I'm pretty sure Corey just said he's so excited to be here and welcome everybody. And he didn't say any swear words at all. I'm sure of that. We've lost all your vocals, Corey. So I don't know where it's gone. Technical difficulties, they call this. We're going to kick things off.
We might keep going, fellas. What do you reckon?
We're going to let you. We're going to let you. Yeah.
No, anyway, well, welcome everybody to On the Grill. We've got Chop on the bottom of the screen there. The man behind the On the Grill, and Shane Darwin on the left-hand side of your screen, and myself, Ashley Borg. We're ready for a bumper representative football edition. We've got Chop. We're going to give him another couple of minutes to get back on board, and we'll see how he goes. But we are ready for a bumper representative football edition this week on the Grill. We have the South Coast, North Coast, and the Northwest of the AFL spectrum in New South Wales visiting the Hunter region this weekend for some bumper football. Shane, how's your week been, mate?
Yeah, it's been a good week, and I've been excited this week because representative football has got me G'd up. We watched the State of Origin on Wednesday night, and that was a good game. And if we get anything near that from a quality level, I'll be very excited. It's always good to see the best of our region battle it out against the best of other regions, because I think it really sets a bit of a yardstick for where Hunter Central Coast is at. We know and love this league, and the opportunity to take it to a greater stage and get the word out there is always very exciting. So really looking forward to tomorrow's games. I think it's going to be a good quality of football with when you look at the teams, and we'll obviously run through those in a little bit. Big week ahead of us, Ash.
Yeah, it is. Good day to the people on the Borgie the Broadcaster Instagram page. You've got Zach Munns, who kicked 6 massive goals last week. Shane in their huge win against Killarney Vale, the man with the different colour boots. And we'll talk about his game very, very shortly. Chop, how you going for sound, my friend? No, mate. We're still muted. We might. Are you hearing? I think he can hear us, but we can't hear him, sadly. Did you just want to do we want to keep going on with the show?
We'll keep going on with the show, as they say, Ash. That is the way it goes. We might have a bit of a look at. I know Corey's pretty excited about what's coming up this weekend, and also looking at the local league heading into the finals. But what we might do is have a bit of a look at what happened last weekend, because you, me, and Chop got the privilege of getting a bit of an early peek at Pastorsfield Oval. Of course, we're going to be there tomorrow, and we're going to talk about that later. But we got to see. We didn't get to see a women's game, unfortunately, last week. There was a forfeit by the Maitland women's in the cup game, but we saw the Maitland men come up against the Cardiff Hawks. And it was a bit of a one-sided event. Obviously, Maitland heavily influenced by injuries, unfortunately, but an entertaining day out nonetheless. What do you think about Saturday's game, Ashley?
Mate, we'll go straight to the men's game. Cardiff, we'll go back to the women shortly, I'd suggest, but Cardiff beat Maitland very handsomely by 140 points last weekend, Shane, and it was men against boys, unfortunately, at Pastorsfield Oval. It was looking a treat, though, wasn't it, for this weekend? We can't wait to see how it comes up, especially with 7 days of no rain. Flanagan and Tahi Brain really caught the eye last week for Cardiff. I thought Tahi Brain's performance, the former Tasmanian junior, he was sensational across the ground, and he really tore them up, especially in the first half.
Yeah, it felt like the dry conditions really helped his speed too. So, that was a standout, especially that, as you say, that first half. Plenty of run on the wing from Brain, and on the other side, Bouffler was giving them plenty of drive as well. So it was a great exhibition by Cardiff. I mean, listen, Maitland, you got to feel for them. They had a lot out. I can't remember the stats actually. How many players have they had out? It's a fair number, isn't it?
Well, yeah. According to Dusty Spriggs, the coach of the year and Maitland's gun coach, they have at least 20 to 25 players that aren't in that squad for plate men's and cup men's. So, they're on a hiding to nothing, the poor blokes, and you feel for them every week because we've covered in the last 2 weeks, and what they have produced in the last 2 weeks isn't really befitting of what the Saints would generally produce. I think they've been below par this year, but in saying that, they've had a lot of players out, and I don't think you can really judge Maitland's season fairly this year, given their interruptions. And, they had Rywan knockout injured and Zach Stewart out for this week. They were concussed and had a hamstring. They've had injuries all year round. Dusty tells me hamstrings have been a real problem for Maitland. And I think maybe the wet grounds contributed to that, the fact that they can't train at their own field. But in saying that, Cardiff were sensational, mate. I have seen a side that are ready to fire in the top 4 in the final series.
Yeah, I tend to agree. They were dominant throughout the game, and it's not from any lack of trying by Maitland's behalf. They certainly gave plenty. We were probably a little critical of their forward line at some stages, but they were a very young forward line. But the Cardiff players couldn't, they couldn't carry any passengers either. They, there was plenty of penetration into the forward line. Their defence held up well. Their midfields were exceptional, and their forwards, well, you could probably say they are a little bit. I don't know, what was it, 21-23? So they were a little bit loose with their shooting. It could have been a bigger margin. But outside of that, the forwards were in the right positions. They took plenty of good grabs. The delivery into the forwards was some of the best I've seen. I think Max King got delivered balls in front, just above head height. No defender in the world is going to stop those sort of balls when you've got a player the caliber of Max King grabbing it. But the quality of delivery in was outstanding. It was a good all-round performance by the Hawks. Really, really dominant.
Yeah, look, apart from the 23 behinds, I think Danny Priest would be very happy with Cardiff's performance. They can only play against who's in front of them. As I said, Flanagan, King, Brain, Lyons, Will Gretz, they were sensational on the weekend for them. But look, to Maitland's credit, as Chop rejoins us, McPhee, Charlie Walker, Abe Russell has played very well all year. I think Abe's going to poll really well in the Maitland best and fairest at the end of the season. DJ Stewart played well. You got Jordan, Sam Jordan and Riley Newstead. They always give 1,000% for their club, and hence why they're vice captain and captain respectively. They're just beautiful footballers, and they don't deserve what's happening to them, but unfortunately for them, it's happening to them. They've just got to ride out the rest of the season, get their bodies right, and come back all fired up for next year. How's your sound, Charlie
Walker played?
Oh, look at that. We can hear him loud and clear. How good's this?
Yeah, almost like nothing went wrong, I reckon. Yeah. So I get to come in and chime in on the weekend's match, yeah?
Yeah, we just chatting about Cardiff, mate.
It was a bit of a fob of a weekend, wasn't it? Like, we didn't have any women's footy in the cup, unfortunately. The Maitland girls, after a pretty good run, missed out on being able to pull a side together at the last minute, which is a real shame for them. So we only got the one game, which is always a shame because we love Pasterfield. We love sitting up there for a couple of games at least. We got the one game, but and even that one game was, it was a tough one to watch. In the end, I felt for Maitland the whole way through. I really did, because they, Spriggsy's doing such a good job with them out there, and they look really promising so many times through the year. But with Zach Stewart, did you talk about Zach Stewart going down early on in the game?
Yeah, Zach was not very functional very early on at all.
They were far from their best. I mean, Zach Stewart wasn't available. Charlie Walker didn't play either. He wasn't there. Inglis was good, I thought, on halfback. He did some good stuff. But they showed signs. They showed plenty all around the ground. But I think their forwards had a combined total of about 8 or 12 games or something between them, I think. Wally Pankhurst was good too. He was tough. They get a bit frustrated at times during the game, but it was what it was. But what I liked was we got to see the Cardiff, a little glimpse of how good Cardiff are going to be in the finals, I think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think Cardiff, I think like you said in the comms, Chop, Cardiff have given us a taste of what it's going to look like, because I don't think they showed us the full throttle I don't think they were full throttle after about half time, and that's out of respect to the Maitland boys. I think they sort of backed it off a little bit after half time, although a couple of the Maitland boys watching on the Instagram page may not agree. I think that Cardiff could have gone a little bit harder, but when you lead by that much.
You reckon that's what I thought leading into it. That was my theory. I thought Danny Priestley is managing them really well in that I don't know if we're seeing everything they've got yet. They're not getting full throttle. Like I thought the first half was the best we've seen of Jamison Bufler so far, which was great. I'm really excited about that. And Max King could have kicked 10 just about. What did he kick? 4-5 in the end or something?
He got 4 for the day. Yeah, him and Lockie McNamara got 4 each for the day. Tom Lashley 3, Lyons 3, Bufler and Flanagan 2 each.
McNamara was my pick for the bar raiser for the day. I thought he was awesome. But Max King kicked 4 goals 5, right?
I think it might have been, It was pretty inaccurate. But see, Tahi Brain had about 4 shots at goal and missed every one of them.
Yeah,
I know. One left, one right, one left. Yeah.
Now, what about the goal, possibly the goal of the year, the Socceroo style over the head cycle kick? Now we gave this to Xavier Lyons. We couldn't see in the shamble in the folly of arms and legs going up in the pack. We couldn't see who it was, but it wasn't Xavier Lyons, and I still don't know who it was. But it wasn't.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who actually.
The vision's a little obscured. I think it might have been Leary, maybe. Was it Baden?
Well, if we've got any of the Hawks dialed into any of the live streams, drop a comment in the comment field for us. And that's a shout out for anyone that's watching at the moment. If you do want to drop us a comment, we're always happy to hear from you as well. Please drop that in your Facebook, Instagram, or Bar TV feed. We're happy to take those comments as they come through.
Because we're going to end up with egg on our face if we give Goal of the Year award to Xavier Lyons and didn't even kick it. So
yeah, we'd have to go back over the footage, I think.
Xavier Lyons, Goal of the Year.
That's Dilger, apparently. Apparently it was Dilger.
Thanks, Sammy Howard.
On your Sammy. He had a top game too. Always knew a Singleton and Rooster to come through, mate.
Didn't he have a top game too? Legend. Sam Howard.
On your mate.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, well, according to Sam Howard, well, he was at fullback, mate. He would have had the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
Watch that one.
Yeah, the odd occasion the ball sort of came his way, he did very well with it. So he's having a great year.
He did very well. I think Sam's in close to team of the year form, to be perfectly honest. He's played a very good season.
Yeah, he's been one of the form defenders all year, I think.
Absolutely. Right? He's been very good this year. We might move on from that game. I think we've talked about it a fair bit given the scoreline. But to be perfectly honest, boys, every other game this week in the Black Diamond Cup men's division, unfortunately, were blowouts. I mean, you got 155-point win to Terrigal against the entrance Baddo Bay and a 112-point win by Warners Bay against Killarney Vale. Unfortunately, it wasn't a great day for the AFL Hunter Central Coast's pinnacle competition in terms of the scoreboard, but I'm sure sides like Terrigal Avoca that kicked 10 goals in the third quarter against the entrance Baddo Bay, McNamara for Terrigal Avoca and Toby Burns wouldn't agree with me because they kicked 7 goals each for Terrigal.
Yeah, I know. How about that? 14 goals between 2 players, both of them under the age of 20 by a mile too. Caden McNamara is barely 17. I think Toby Burns barely 18. So that's not too shabby for the future, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's I think he'd have to be one of the favourites for the Rising Star Award this year, Caden McNamara, to be honest. He's been quite the find for Chris Bishop. Talk to us a bit more about him if you can, mate.
Oh, yeah, I can. He's a Sydney Swans project and Swans Academy project. I think he's come to AFL football very, very late, sort of literally as a 13-year-old or something like that. But he's won the Central Coast Academy of Sport, Young Sports Person of the Year here a couple of years back. He's been pretty hot property, very hotly talked about. Comes from a great family. His dad, James, is playing there for Terrigal in the second grade as well. I think his dad's a very talented rugby league player. They spent some time over in WA when they were very young. And Caden, I think he's got one younger brother. I think it's just the two. And his younger brother Jet is playing at Terrigal as well. He actually made his senior debut in reserves a couple of weeks ago with his dad. They had a couple of father-sons actually playing that particular week. But Caden, I coached him last year in the Brisbane Water Lions 17s, and he's just superb. He really is. He's a joy to coach. He understands. He gets it on a deeper level, the footy, and he's picked the game up so well. I didn't think I'd see an under-17 player, especially a Swans Academy player, improve so much. I literally said to Caden at the beginning, I don't know if there's much I can teach you about footy, but we'll work on how you can inspire your teammates and how you can sort of get more out of the boys around you, but with what you do. And it was really nice. He actually repeated that at the end of the year when he won the league medal for the under-17s. I think Alex Tiani asked him a question, what did you learn from Chop? And he said, just how to get the most out of my teammates or something like that. It was actually a really nice moment. So he's got a really great sensibility about him, Caden, and every game that we've seen him play so far has been just superb. He looks like he's been playing for 10 years. And geez, far out. On that note, there's some 17-year-olds in the Cardiff side as well that are just ridiculous. So the future's bright, boys, right across the league, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're talking about Caden McNamara. I said Rising Star might be where he sits this year in the AFL Hunter Central Coast. There's only one other Terrigal Avoca player that's won that award. I wonder if you could guess which one. That's
currently playing?
He's the only Terrigal Avoca player that's ever won the Rising Star.
Yeah, it was
since 2013. Harrison Pitt.
Yeah.
Harrison Pitt, 2000.
Yep.
Last year was Josh Taylor, who's in the rep team.
That's right.
And then you got Billy King, Selkirk, who was outstanding. And you've got Lockie Price, who was at Cardiff when he won it. And now he's at Warners Bay playing in tomorrow's rep side. So there's some great players there. I really think McNamara fits in there.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, all of those players are absolute superstars, aren't they? And a couple of those names are going to feature very heavily in the final series upcoming, I think.
Mm.
And the Rising Stars always seems to go to the right player. They certainly go on and become something fairly special in the years afterwards, don't they? Because Harrison,
yeah, absolutely,
about to win the goal kicking medal in the Sydney AFL this year. Harrison Pitt.
Yeah, Pitty's going very well, and I'd say mark of the year sewn up for him actually.
Yeah, that was a ripper, wasn't it?
Mate, still can't get that one out of my head, to be honest.
Can we bring video up? We can bring video up on this.
Well, I'm sure we can, Chop. We'll work that out. I was just about to give us a quick segue over into the next game. We better keep this show moving
along.
Let's
keep it moving.
One other button. I'm not touching a single button.
Let's keep it moving, mate. All right, what do you reckon Warners Bay?
I was about to say, you mentioned the goal kicking just there with Pitty. An interesting stat. Big win by Terrigal Avoca, yet no player in the top 5 of the goal kicking. One player that is at the top of that list, though, is Kalani Vale's Brendan Lloyd. They, of course, played against Warners Bay on the weekend, and it was a one-sided game. Ashley, where did that one end up?
Yeah, Warners Bay 139, defeated Kalani Vale 27. Zach Munns, who I believe was watching the stream before, got a bag of 6. The Big Dig got 3. Harrison, who's playing this weekend, got 3, and Sweetenham got 3. And for Kalani Vale, Hagley, Lloyd, and Spencer got their singles, and Lloyd sort of slides up the table a little bit there to 26 Chop, and he's in line for the Morris Goolagong goal kicking award, but there's a few behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, only by default, I've got to say, Spoonman would have had a very nervous couple of weeks. Like he's had a bye and then came in and had virtually zero supply against Warners Bay on the weekend. Managed just the one, and by default probably keeps that top spot. The rest of the players in the top 5 are 2 of them are Newcastle City players, of course, and they had the bye. Jordan Deere and Mitch Crawford sitting right up amongst there. So no goals added their tally. So Brandon Lloyd effectively gets a further lead on those guys. But the big player at the moment is Max King's come in. He's just kicked 4 and put himself right into that top sort of contention as well. I think does it put him on 22?
Yeah, I've got him on 22. I think he's kicked 17 goals in his last 3 games.
Yeah, so like he's coming home with a wet sail. Jaden Morgan's on 20 as well, I think, for Terrigal. Is he just outside the 5 there? He's actually kicked 27 goals, equal with Brandon Lloyd, but he kicked 7 of them in his second game for the year. Was about round 4 or 5 or something when Terrigal were getting washed out after whatever, and he played one reserve grade game and ended up kicking 7 goals in that game against Warners Bay. So they won't count for a
no, they won't count Rezzies.
No, they don't count for a Goolagong Trophy. But I think it's worth noting that because of those mucked up rounds, he the seniors weren't playing that particular weekend. I don't think so. He just tried to get a catch up game because he missed the first 2 or 3 rounds. But 7 goals, so he's up there. He's capable of kicking big numbers. So he might be a late runner, but he's only kicked 2 on the weekend.
Well, I'll tell you what, Chop, if you want to look at Lloyd's run home, his next 4 games to finish the season are against Newcastle City, so supply is going to be an issue there. The following week is Cardiff. Once again, he could have a supply issue coming in. He then plays against Terrigal Avoca, so 3 of the top 4 teams before rounding it out with another game against City. So Brandon Lloyd has got 4 games left, but they are 4 tough games that he may not see a lot of ball in.
Mate, if he wins the Goolagong Trophy, he is he'll be hands down the best goal kicker for the year, because I reckon you're going to need to kick at least 10 more win these next 4 games, at least 10 more to win it, right? If not more, because there's so many just pressing in that with 20 goals or more. To kick 10 goals against those 4 sides, I mean, they'll be lucky if the team is able to kick 10 goals combined against those 4 sides the way that they're at the moment, because they're all gearing up for finals. So I think Spoonman his supply might dry up. So I'm going to just say this to the KB Bombers boys, you've 4 games left. It hasn't been a great year for you. Unfortunately, it's fallen a bit short what you expect, but put it in to see if you can get one high point for the year and get
sound.
At least you got something to celebrate there. So that's what I'd be pumping into them.
I think Max King. I reckon Max King's looking pretty good for the Goolagong Award, or possibly Billy Towers if he can come home and if he's not injured for the remainder of the year. Those boys have got a really good run. As I look down the list there, they've got Terrigal next week, and then they've got Killarney Vale next week. Terrigal next week. Then they've got Killarney Vale City, and then the entrance Baddo Bay. Now the entrance Baddo Bay have an early Mad Monday, which I doubt they will. But Cardiff will want to come home with a massive statement in that last round, and I reckon the entrance Baddo Bay might be the unlucky sacrificial lamb, and Max King might have a bit of a day out. He kicked 9 against them last time, I'm pretty sure, from memory. So if he does something similar, it's too tight a race, and anyone gets 5, 6, 7 goals in that top 5 or 6, it breaks it wide open.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Like the bottom 3 still have a massive part to play in the back half of this year. They might be not finals bound, but how much they lose by, or how much they eat, or if they manage to scrape a win, is going to just cause massive chaos to that top 4, because it's all so close. It's going to come down to percentage at the end of the day for some of those teams as to whether they get a second chance in finals or not. So the bottom 3 sides, I can't encourage them enough to do everything they can to upset the apple cart, because there's still a role for them to play. It's often when you're that far out of it and you've got 3 or 4 rounds left to go, it's a long time to be out of the finals race. 5 games, do you know what I mean? Like, knowing you're not playing finals for 5 games, it's hard for players to stay focused and concentrate on it, but there is still a role for those teams to play. So I'd encourage them to, do their best, unless there's one particular player they like from the opposition that they want to see win the Goolagong Trophy, and who knows, they might. I know this. Jaden Morgan was a entrance Baddo Bay player just 2 seasons ago. I know, because I tried to fight to keep him at the club when I took over as coach, but he didn't. He was transferred over to Terrigal Avoca. So I reckon they might play 4 blokes on him when they come up against him in the last 4 games to make sure he doesn't win the Goolagong.
Yeah, well, there we go. It was a fairly one-sided round for the men. If we have a look over the women, unfortunately, there were a couple of forfeits last weekend. So we only did the one game because the Maitland Saints, as we talked about earlier, did forfeit to the Cardiff Hawks. We had Warners Bay women also forfeit to Killarney Vale, which left us with just the two games. The Roosters came up against the Newcastle City. That was a fairly one-sided game, 8-8-56 to just the one behind to the Roosters. Then the last game of the round was Terrigal against the Entrance Bateau Bay. Now, going into that game, there was a fourth place on the line. There was the possibility that if the Entrance Bateau Bay got the win there, they could challenge Terrigal Avoca for that final position in the four. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It was Terrigal Avoca 11-8-74 against the Entrance Bateau Bay 3-3-21. So we've basically locked in our women's final four as well.
Yeah, it was a really interesting one there, Terrigal Avoca and the Entrance Bateau Bay. They were 20-15 at quarter time. And unless they've forgotten to put in scores, they were 20-15 at halftime as well. So I'm guessing they forgot to put scores in. But after halftime, Terrigal Avoca kicked 8-1 and pretty much destroyed the Entrance Bateau Bay. Deanne Richardson, who played quite well a couple of weeks ago for Terrigal in our TV game against Maitland, she got 4 goals. Ash Boss Hanley got a couple. Emily Jacobson got 2. And interestingly, for the Entrance Bateau Bay, Chop and Shane, Gracie Jurek kicked all 3 goals.
Yep, she's an upcoming rising star in that side, I think, isn't she? So is she playing in front, Ash? You might have heard your advice.
You might have heard my voice from the week before, mate. Get the tall in front and you won't be able to spoil it.
Yeah.
I always had trouble as the short guy. But look, I think the top 4's set in both grades now. And if we look at the top 4's, the Terrigal in the men's comp are on top. Cardiff in second place on percentage, and they're in front by my book, 9% on Newcastle City. Warners Bay hold 4th spot. Maitland in 5th, Killarney Vale, and then the Entrance Bateau Bay. And in the women's, you got Killarney Vale on top. Newcastle City and Cardiff on the same match ratio, but Newcastle City have a percentage of over 900, where Cardiff only have 628 fellas. So, I think Cardiff need to pick their game up in that regard. Terrigal Avoca on 53 in the match ratio, round out the 4. The Entrance Bateau Bay, then Singleton. Singleton, Warners Bay, and then Maitland. So, interesting. There's a good race to the end in the goal kicking ranks as well, with Crystal Brown from Killarney Vale on 33, and then Mia Wilson, Kate Hanley, and your Acker on 27. Sabrina Cleusis and Sarah Helverson on 22 to round it off. And I reckon anyone in the top 4 can win it. Crystal Brown kicks goals for fun for Killarney Vale, but whether she plays any more games or not is probably the question there.
Yeah. The top player is 5 goals in front there. So there's a little bit more of a lead in the girls one. The other thing too, traditionally or conventionally, the women's cup competition don't kick as many goals as the men. Their score lines generally aren't quite as high as what the fellas are. So possibly a little bit more of a lead there to Killarney Vale player than in the men's. The men's is a bit of a tighter finish, I think. So to make up 5 goals, pretty big effort. So there's still a few games left to go. But if anyone's going to do it, it'll be Acker. And I reckon I'm going to back Acker in. I think she'll come through. We're going to watch the last couple of games, so I reckon she's going to kick a couple of bags and come through and win the goal kicking medal.
We'll get around Acker in the last few games.
Yep.
What about the representative fixtures this week? Gee, I've been excited for these ever since they got announced. Rep footy. It's pinnacle of, for me as an ex-umpire. I mean, tonight I'm wearing an old rep jacket just for the occasion. Look, as an umpire, the biggest thing for me, apart from grand finals, rep fixtures, because they're so rare, they're special because you get to represent your comp and you get to work with other people from outside your comp. So, I think rep footy, it's a special opportunity, and, well done to all the players this weekend who get a game.
Yeah, 100%. You anything you want to add there, Shane?
No, just we did sort of talk a little bit about it earlier, Chop, when we were getting you set up there earlier. How I've been looking forward to this all week. It's it's the chance to really put that yardstick in of where the Hunter Central Coast fits against. So we've got both games against the South Coast. That's a good strong league. So it's kind of that really good measuring stick for how we sit as a league, and I'm looking forward to what we can do. I know on the chat throughout the week I've been sort of maybe doing a couple of bit of phantom calls about some of the players and who it could go from and to and whatever, and it's a really exciting bit of time to sort of, when you see your favourite players from each team get out there and get in the one team, it's exciting stuff to see how they're all going to gel and what we're going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no doubt it's a welcome return to it. I mean, we had representative football of a kind last year for the women, but of course the men were that competition, that carnival was pulled right at the last minute, unfortunately. So a few people felt a bit let down there. So it's and the year before it wasn't quite what rep footy has been in the past, and I think in recent seasons we've been sadly bereft of great representative football. It's certainly great by the pinnacle era of rep footy towards the end of the 2000s, but Black Diamond Cup footy was at its peak, I think, and we had some players of like Morris Goolagong, Corey Shackleton, and so many great footballers from the past. Mick Wright from Cardiff. There's representing. We had the best of the best, literally the best of the best representing then. So I think we're moving towards that. I think we've got a really important role to play in that, fellas, in trying to build the hype to representative football up again, because I don't think it is what it was before. I don't think it means as much to the current crop of players as it did in the past. And that's greatly because I think, in some ways they feel they haven't always been served the best by the league, the players, and therefore, some of them question whether, what level of reps, what importance it is. But the last couple of weeks, getting closer to this weekend, I've really started to feel that vibe a little bit and get really, really excited about it. When they announced it in May, I nearly fell off my chair. I was so thrilled. It was really good. It sounded great. And then it sort of went quiet and dark, and we didn't know what was happening with reps for such a long time. And now all of a sudden we've seen the invitation lists go out, the players start training, and then the final squads that came out earlier this week, and then of course, the final teams come out last night, and all of a sudden, bang, we're on. The carnival's on. It's happening. 4 regions in the women's, 2 in the men's. So I think, without sounding, I don't want to sound at all like I'm a dampener on it, because I'm not, but I think that's a good start for where we want to go with reps. I think there's, without going too far in the next side of it, there's a lot we need to do to get it right and better than what it is so far this year. But thank goodness it's back. And thank goodness we're going to see it this weekend. Thank goodness we're going to get right behind it and pump it up like never before. And we can build up to being exactly what representative football for seniors should be in the years to come. That's for sure. Because we've got some wonderful players that need to be on the centre stage.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. We've got 3 big games on Saturday, tomorrow. The first one at 11 a.m. Fellas, is our own Hunter Central Coast versus the South Coast in the women's. And then at 12:45, you've got the North Coast versus the Northwest.
So, Ash, what is the format for the girls? Are they playing 2 halves? Or are they playing 4?
I believe they're full games. I believe they're 3 full games. Given the time fractions, you've got one at 11, one at 12:45, and one at 2:30. I reckon they're full games. For me, right. I don't know what the quarters are. Emily hasn't told me that, but it's 11 a.m. is the Hunter Central Coast and the South Coast, 12:45 North Coast, Northwest in the women's, and then 2:30 is the men's Hunter Central Coast versus South Coast. Gee, there are some terrific plays in both lineups, and I've done a bit of searching during the week. There's some terrific plays in the South Coast side. I don't know if the Hunter Central Coast realise the type of quality that's coming up to play against them tomorrow. You've got girls in there that have played for the Allies in the national championships. You've got South Australian Country Championship former players. You've got AFL Sydney Premier Grade Premiership players, Victorian Country Champions for Bendigo and the Murray Bushrangers. There's some talented girls in this South Coast lineup.
Very good. Oh, graphics. Yeah.
Well, I'm
You've
just
got it.
trying to work on the fly here, boys. So bear with me. There is the South Coast women's squad there, Ash.
Yeah, look, some of the players that I've picked out are Grace Crittenden, who played in the Coates League for Sydney Swans this year. She sticks out to me. Taylor Stark, who was in the AFL Sydney competition for the UTS, and played in AFL Sydney for the UTS. She plays for the Fig Tree Saints. Alicia Anderson, Alicia and Ashley Anderson, don't think they're related from the South Coast, from the Fig Tree Saints. Alicia Anderson was a premiership player last year for the East Coast Eagles in AFL Sydney, and East Coast are currently undefeated in the AFL Sydney comp this year. I actually only got one loss. Ashley Anderson played in the South Australian Country Championships for the last 3 years from Broken Hill. You got Ellie Veerhouse, if she's related to a Veerhouse in Sydney, I wouldn't be surprised. He's played for the Allies this year 3 times and played in the Swans VFL. You got Amelia Martin, who's done the same thing, but she plays for Uni New South Wales and played for the Swans. You got Michaela Jones, who about 3 or 4 years ago played for the Murray Bushrangers in the VFL. And Alice Voss, who played in the Country Championships of Victoria 2 years ago and was playing for Bendigo in the Coates League. So there's some real talent. Anyone that you see there in the Wollongong Lions lineup won a premiership last year, if they played last year, because they were your premiers against Fig Tree. So basically, if you're looking at this squad, the Wollongong Lions and the Fig Tree Saints pretty much dominate the league in the South Coast. And
there's only 5 clubs represented there, Ash.
I beg your pardon, mate. There's only 5, yeah.
Only 5? How many clubs are in that South
I
Coast?
believe there are 6 or 7.
Right.
So I don't know what their process was, but they've had a squad together since June. So I reckon they've come to do some damage on the weekend.
They want blood. They want blood.
They want some blood, the South Coast, and I think it's a very good lineup. But if you look at ours, I mean, we know what we've got. We've got former AFLW players. We've got Elliot Davey, Women's Cup medalists. We've got some wonderful local talent who just shine. You've got Beck Ives, who I'm looking forward to seeing chop because she doesn't play in the Cup. She plays in the plate for the Wyong Lake Macquarie hybrid team, who are dominating in Black Diamond Plate this year. But Beck Ives is a former Women's Cup best and fairest medalist.
They should be playing Cup.
Should be playing in Cup, but yeah. And she's played for Parramatta this year in the Premier Grade. So, she's a top player in Sydney. She can play in Sydney, so she's a terrific player. Love Brooke Turner and how she goes about it. Beth Wood, how dynamite she is. You got girls like Faith Radmacher from Singleton, who I haven't seen for a while, but gee, she's talented. Eliza Hand, our Cup medalist. AJ Diamond, who I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, really didn't like a lot of body contact, but now she just thrives on footy, and she's making her way through the ranks. And then you go to Georgia Jenkins, who is only one of 2 players who have won a best on ground medal in a grand final when they've lost the grand final. In the history of the Black Diamond AFL Hunter Central Coast across all the grades, she's one of 2 players that have won best on ground in the grand final and lost. And then you go to Sarah Halverson, who's, for me, the best player in the comp. And she's outstanding. Such a humble, quietly spoken lady, but gee, she's a terrific footballer. It's going to be a great match tomorrow.
So are you giving our girls a chance?
Oh, look, I think our girls are very much in the mix. Yeah. But as I said, I hope they don't take South Coast lightly because they've got talent.
Well, it sounds to me like, and I've got no doubt that our girls will take it very seriously as well. But if they've had their squad together since June, it sounds to me like the spirit of representative football might be very strong with the South Coast side, because my personal opinion, I think that's the way to go about it. I think sides and nominated invitees to come and trial for reps should be announced, a good period of time before the carnival, and the final sides, I'd like to see them announced a little earlier than what they were as well. But I know there's been a bit of a hold up with availabilities and all that sort of stuff. So hopefully, that doesn't hamstring our sides too much when they come out and play on the weekend. Especially, we'll get to see it firsthand, won't we? South Coast have been ready since June, and we've been ready since this week. well, I guess the proof will be in the pudding on the weekend, won't it?
Yeah, look, we've got the talent to do it. You can see Charlotte Day's name down there. Katrin Donnelly. I'd love to see. I'm looking forward to seeing Jasmine Wellings, actually, fellas, because Jasmine, poor thing, she does play for Warners Bay and they haven't had a lot of success. And, she carries that team a lot as their captain. And it'll be very interesting to see how she goes at a higher level. I think she'll cope very well. You got Amy Pittman, who can steady the ship for them. Matisse Murray, who's a gun. And look, there's a lot of quality in that lineup. So
there's a huge lot of quality and experience in there. Any
got a
players
good mix.
Any players you think missed out, were a bit hard done by not to get into that side?
I was about to jump in there, Chop, and say as good as the team on there is, you look at some of the players that aren't on there, and that sort of says how strong this side is. Like, Nikita Carter, for example, has already won a bar raiser this year, is probably penciled in on most team of the year sheets. Yet she's not playing tomorrow. So Savannah Newton's not on there, obviously, as well. There's that's how strong this team is. It is.
What about how about players like Savannah Newton and Bonnie Swan? Are they not available, or Swan's Academy?
I reckon. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that all works, because I think
where's Maddie Smith?
Because I think Sav played in the under-17s rep this week.
Right. Okay.
During the week. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I would have to be quoted on that one, because I'm not 100% sure. But it seems like Carter fell a little bit light on across the board in the rep footy this week. So not sure how that all was done. And obviously you don't want to speculate on anything like that. But they are light on, and they've got a lot of talent, especially in women's.
Yep. No, and certainly, like when I say this, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm not questioning the selection so much as, but only from from Bar TV commentary box, we get to see all the players a few times a year, plus all the research that we're doing. We're sort of keeping right up to date with it. Now, there was a few. I don't know too much about availabilities or not, but there's probably at least half a dozen players I would say would have been in my representative side that weren't in amongst it. So
if I look at the under-17s, I'll look at the under-17 girls lineup for the first game on Wednesday of this week. Savannah Newton, Bonnie Swan, Maddie Marsh, who plays for Cardiff. Yeah, there's a few there. Georgie Arliss, Lily Martini, Ayla Flynn. They're all perfectly, talented under-17 girls that could line up in a first grade, who line up in first grade week on, week out, who could have easily gotten a game for the central for the AFL Hunter Central Coast. Melanie Bendevsky is in that lineup. Lucinda Watson, who plays, Emerson Squires, who could have got a game. If she's lining up for the Central Coast. Emerson Squires has been playing in AFL Sydney this year, so there's no reason why she couldn't have been picked. But it is noticeable that the young girls that are in that lineup on your screen don't line up on these junior reps. So they may have had to be one or the other.
Yeah, fair enough.
You're not sure.
There is such junior talent, and we sit there every week picking the bar raiser, and 9 times out of 10 we're going, geez, that person we're going to give a beer voucher to, and they can't even have a drink. And the names you just listed off there,
their parents would be happy.
A lot of I was going to say a lot of Mother's Day and Father's Day gifts came from Six Strings Brewery this year. So thank you, Six Strings Brewery Company.
No, that's terrific. But I reckon it'll be a terrific contest tomorrow. As I said, talent all over the field, and the women's rep game should be something special tomorrow. That's for sure.
Then let's not forget a big mention to the wonderful Kate Hanley, who is the coach for the representative side. Kate, of course, is a goal kicker extraordinaire at I think she's sitting on third on the goal.
Yeah, she's sitting second on the goal kicking tally at the moment.
Goal kicking tally for Newcastle City. So I've had a little bit of correspondence with Kate. I've even got the lineup, the run outside, who's starting on and who isn't actually.
Oh, do you want? I'd already transitioned over to the men's because I was trying to move you boys along.
But also, I think fellas, you got a few people selecting that side. This week you had Kate Hanley, Paul Kelly, Jackson Cannon, Banger, McBride and Emma Jane Howell selected that team. So it's a very...
That's a good unit, isn't it?
Organised and well. I mean, you got the former women's plate goal kicker of the year, Emma Jane Howe, and premiership player in the plate. You got Banger, who definitely knows his footy. Yep. Jackson Cannon and PK, who are very astute football brains, and Kate Hanley. I mean, they've picked a really good team. They've done a great job with what they've had.
No doubt. As I said, I was just playing devil's advocate before. It's going to be a wonderful contest. I can't wait to see all that info, Ash, that you brought in. Thank you very much for that on the South Coast side. It's got me a little bit worried, but I think, I'm going to have faith in our girls. They'll come through in the end.
Absolutely. You got to plug the other side. You got to plug the other team, mate. They've come here to play, and I think it's going to be a great day. And then 2:30, fellas, we got the men's clash.
That's right. Before we get to that, what I want to see from those of you that are listening in live now, if you've got the ability to comment, drop a comment in there in the women's game. Hunter Central Coast versus South Coast. Who's your tip? Who's going to win and by how much? Drop that in the comment line for us. Ash, tell us what's happening in the men's game. It is once again South Coast versus Hunter Central Coast. Sorry, Chops.
Isn't there two other regions in the women's comp?
Yeah, they got a 12:30, a 12:45, a 12:30 game, 12:45 North Coast and Northwest. So your Armidale, Tamworth, Moree versus your North Coast, your Byrons and things like that. Their squads have only just come up, so I haven't really done a lot of homework on them, to be honest. And I know that at 1:00 this afternoon, North Coast were calling out for nominations for any girls that could make the trip down to Newcastle for the weekend. So that might give you some indication of how they're going, but it might.
I'm available.
I mean, we can all get a kick for them, I suppose. But there is one player in the Northwest that used to play for Singleton Roosterettes, and her name's Lua Rosa, daughter of legendary player Mark Rosa, who won a Northern Tasmanian Best and Fairest in the footy North Tasmanian Football League Best and Fairest, and was still playing first grade at age 50, and could still match it with the boys too. So he was a champion, that guy, and a champion fella too. He had a son named Taz, or we used to call him Taz Vahid Rosa. Sensational player who could have been anything, really, Taz. But yeah, on to this men's game, fellas. It's going to be a beauty. Chopper, who are your players for the Hunter Central? Oh, actually, we've got your South Coast guys here.
So South Coast up, then we'll get on to our boys.
Mate, you got some good players in that lineup. A few that I've highlighted are Brendan Lagana, who I believe is their captain for the Fig Tree Kangaroos. He's played over 300 games. He's been a rep player for AFL Canberra, played in the NEFL, and he also played AFL Sydney for Inner West Magpies. So he'll be a talent. Dylan Sanderson was a player with St George until the end of last year. Played several grades, so I'd imagine he'd be talented. Kieran Churchill is no stranger to the Hunter Central Coast lineup. He played against them in 2019. Jed Winter's been a Queanbeyan AFL Canberra player. Jed Winter plays for, if I can just look at the list there, I'm looking around there, for the Northern Districts Tigers. And Dan Posh will be interesting to see how he goes, because Dan Posh is currently the leading goal kicker in the AFL South Coast with 30 goals from 7 appearances this season, and kicked 11 against Kiama 2 weeks ago. So he's going to be dangerous up forward. Do
you reckon their Bar TV crew are saying this about Brandon Lloyd right now?
I wouldn't imagine I don't know if they'd seen Brandon Lloyd before, but I reckon when they see him, they'll know who he is in a hurry. Patrick Walker, I think, is an emergency tomorrow, but he seemed to be a talent. Played rep football in AFL Canberra in his first year of senior football, so that's a fair effort. And McCarthy Dooley, who I believe is the captain or the vice captain of the Lions, played for the Southern Power in AFL Sydney. So I might have those players absolutely wrong, but judging by their buys, they've got a pretty serious lineup too. Kyle Emley is also a player to note, but he's only played a couple of games this year. He also has a very high pedigree as well. But I think, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think with all the trials and tribulations Nathan Harkness has had this week, Chop, and you know it just as well as I do what he's had to go through this week, he has picked a side that should win this game.
Well, the first thing I want to say about the South Coast side is that there's a couple of very interesting surnames that make a commentator like me excited as. So like a name like Posh, I hope I get to say that a lot tomorrow. Where's the other one? Dooley. Oh, we're going to have a field day with Dooley. I hope he gets 50 possessions every game. Dooley. We're going to have a ball with that. What have we got else there? There's a couple of rippers in there. So looking forward to calling out a few of those names. Outside of that, I know nothing, Ash. You're the intellect on the opposition players. So I'm sure we'll get some more of that info in the broadcast tomorrow. I'll call it as I see it, I reckon. But yeah, a couple of good names.
Yeah, mate. And what about our side? What about our team, Chop? I think we've got a team that is given the trials and tribulations, as I said, that Nathan Harkness has been through this week. And as I said, you and I know a fair bit about it. He has picked a really good lineup, a nice balanced lineup. I mean, he's got guns all over the field. I think these boys are going to really enjoy playing with one another. I think the player to watch tomorrow will be the Big Dig. I'm a massive fan of Mark Dignam. If they had a recruit of the year, I reckon he'd be it. He can do it anywhere on the field, and I reckon he's gonna play the South Coast of Merrifield tomorrow on his own. Whether he plays in the ruck, full forward, centre forward, wherever he ends up, between him and Adam Miller, they're going to be very dangerous in the middle, and they'll get first use. Then you got players like Grimman Lee, Harrison Harkness, Lockie Price, Ryan Arthur, Joey Harrison. They're just going to enjoy. They're going to enjoy the service, and then blokes like Max King up forward and Lloydie. Gee, they're going to have a good day tomorrow. I just see the Hunter Central Coast really working. If they can get it right early, and they can get the combinations right early, it could be a very good day for our side tomorrow.
Yeah, we've got a lot of depth, I guess, that we could say. We've got a lot of depth to be able to choose from. There's a lot of great runners in our competition at the moment. There's a bit of pace in this side that we can see, which I'm sure Nathan will try and utilise. It'd be important. I don't know how much research he's done on his opposition, but I imagine they're going to want to try and get on the front foot early. There's a little bit of firepower up front there as well. But yeah, it's exciting. I'm just excited to see rep footy take place again. As you said, there were some trials and tribulations this week, and I hope we do study those a little bit and make sure that we don't have that same process next year, because there's guys who could be in the side that aren't, guys that should be that aren't for whatever reasons, and representative football is as close to the best side that we can put together in the end, and certainly what Nath had available to him, that's the best side out there for sure. I want to get the negatives out of the way. I would like to see this become an even higher priority for our league to take on next year, so that we get a really good shot at putting together the best side possible and get more support to our coaches as well. Because, I think he's a bit of a lone soldier at the moment, Nath. He's been sort of taking it on and with a very noble intent, and hasn't had a huge amount of support on the way through it. And I think it's up to us and everyone else to get 100% behind him and the boys that are selected here, and get right behind the reps and just really cheer them home and get big numbers out there, and do everything we can from the other side of the line to get behind these boys, because I'm really excited to see him. There's players there. Hayden Mahallam, I really like the looks of him down the back there. He's been great for Kalani Vale. He's a big hulk of a sort of a bloke. There's a lot of first-time rep players there for us in this. And if you look at our great rep sides in the years gone by, they've been made up greatly of guys that played year after year after year. We've got players like Pete Van Dam, who's had 10 or 12 caps in representative football. And will we see the likes of that ever again? Who knows? But let's hope that what we're seeing here, especially, it's great to see two entrance Batto Bay players there, Ryan Besley and Pat Murphy, both absolutely deserving in there. It's gun midfielders. Murph will be electric tomorrow, there's no doubt. So will Bez. Let's hope we're seeing names here that are going to be there for the duration. I know Jack Grimman Lee's played a few representative games now. He's on track to win maybe another Elliot Davey medal this year. He's just electrifying, and he lives and breathes for these type of games. I think it's great to see him in there. Adam Miller, of course, is up and comer. We got Mitch Crawford on the field there in just a playing capacity. I think he's helping out Nath a little bit behind the scenes, organising the team too. But that's going to be great just for Mitch just to be able to just go out there and play your heart out, mate, and kick a dozen. It'd be brilliant. So, yeah, really good side. Ryan Arthur was a late inclusion in it. I'm so glad to see him in there. He's one of my favourites. He's one of my favourite players in the whole league, the way he moves. So, and he's a big game player, so he'll be there. He'll be there up front and square. He hasn't played footy much in the last month because of an injury. Great to see him back on, and in this particular stage. Jack Grimmon-Lee, we've just got a note there from Nath Harkness. Jack Grimmon-Lee, captain, which is brilliant.
Top
great
choice,
selection
mate.
there for captain. I think that's a really natural side. Great to see Michael Hendry getting a call up in there too. He's one of the Newcastle City boys. I don't know if he's. They tend to give him a bit of a hard time, Michael Hendry, on this show from time to time. They sort of roast him a little bit, but he gets to get the last laugh tomorrow. Big Mick Hendry tomorrow in the back line there, no doubt. You'll probably kick a couple of goals just to shut all your teammates up, mate, I reckon.
Well, the City boys have been a little bit quiet on the chat tonight too. So come on, City boys. We want to see a bit more spice on that chat.
Goes all right, Hendry, too. He's played 26 games in his life and bagged the premiership.
Yeah, and now playing representative.
Yeah, now I'm rep footy. How good's that? Terrific.
I'm going to ask you a question, boys. I want to know, if you look at your forwards, your mid, and your back lines, which is going to be your favourite line? What are you most looking forward to tomorrow? Because I started off thinking, maybe the forward line would be pretty good. Then I got excited by the Big Dig and Miller in ruck, and maybe Hayden Maham, depending on what he's doing. I thought, the centre line's going to be pretty good. And then I got to the back line. I'm like, if you had Sam Jordan on one flank and Luke Flack on the other half-back flank, how good's your run out of the back line going to be? And I decided the back line was probably the line I was most excited to see tomorrow. Where are you? What's exciting you guys tomorrow?
Tell you what, Flacky and Sam Jordan could have a race down halfback to see who can make it down the other end of the ground to back up first. I reckon they'd be that good. They can outdo each other. But Noah McDonald will have fun back there. I'm wondering where Seb Thomas is going to play tomorrow, because he's a genuine swing player. He can play forward or back. I think backline would be his best spot tomorrow, but obviously I'm not coaching the side. Crawford, imagine having Big Dig at full forward and having Mitch Crawford and Brady Sweetenham right at your feet, ready to pounce.
And then Brandon Lloyd just playing off a pocket there.
And Lloydie.
Where are you having? Where's Max King? Where are you?
And then Max King, I think he might be he may even line up. Where do you fit them all?
Yeah.
Where do you fit them all? They're all just, it's like, but if you go back to the original question, mate, I'm really excited about the midfield, mate. They've got a very talented midfield tomorrow. Grimmon-Lee, Miller or Dig, Pricey,
Murphy.
As said, Harrison Harkness, Murphy. Murphy's delivery is just first class. You could put Joe Harrison, he's just ready to explode. Ryan Arthur when he gets on the field. Taylor, I really think, based on, and this is, knowing that Nathan's there, and we've talked to Nathan Chop during a week, from what he's had to work with, that is a pretty well balanced lineup, eh?
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's brilliant. It is. It's very exciting side to see, knowing how close the competition's been this year, and how it's a genuine 4-horse race to win a premiership this year. Like, whoever wins it this year is going to be a real worthy winner, because they've got 4 equally good sides, 3 other equally good sides to get through to get to that finals. Knowing that and seeing the best of those sides as well as the very best, because the other 3 sides, despite the weekend's results, the other 3 sides aren't as far back as what the ladder might suggest in terms of it. And certainly the top end of those 3 sides not playing finals is as good as anyone's top end in the competition. So to see all of them come together and run out in the field, and if they get it right, I'm not too sure how the training sessions were this week. I think Nathan indicated they were pretty good. So if that was the case, I think he was really pleased with them, actually, the training sessions themselves. So if that's the case, if they gel well together and they really want to play rep footy and they're stinging for it and they all have a real dip, because that's what rep footy is all about. You're on that stage. You've got to be next level. You've got to make all the young kids who aren't selected or just missed out or weren't available, make them be envious to want to play in it next year, because it's absolutely wicked. It's such an honour. It's a great thing to do. And whether you're happy with the league or unhappy with the league, whether you're having a good year or a bad year, this is the weekend where it doesn't matter. You all come together and you put everything you've got on the line to beat everyone else in the state. And I mean, we're only coming up against the South Coast, and there's plenty of bragging rights there. But who knows? This could be a lead into something even bigger with representative football in the near future. And certainly, I think with the role that we play at the moment and the interaction that we have with the league and with the AFL, NSW, ACT, there's no reason why we can't press for bigger formats so long as this is a success this weekend. And that's really important. And that's why I'd be really closely monitor what our league is doing to promote this and to build this up, because what they do reflects on how we're going to perform and how the representative carnival is going to go and how successful it's going to be. And we want it to be a success. I know certainly from commentary team, we're going to sink our teeth into this like it's a Works burger from Carter for free. We're just going to really get right into it and pump it up, make it something it's really special as best we can. And we want our league to be making sure that they're doing that too, so that we can go somewhere with it. I don't want this to be the level and we stay at that. I wanted us to go, let's relive the late 2000s.
Yep, no, agreed. I love rep sport as a whole, and I hope this becomes the start of something that just grows as we go on year after year. After the COVID era and everything that's happened there, this is the chance to really start that building up again. It will, of course, be live, free, and in high definition on bartvsports.com.au/AFL tomorrow from 11 a.m. If you are anywhere near the Central Coast or Hunter Valley, get yourself to Pasterfield because it will be good. They do have the best Works burger in the game too, as Chops just mentioned. The canteen there is sensational. Get to the game, but take your mobile phone with you and your little earphones and listen to Corey and Ash because they've got the best commentary in the business. They're going to be chirping to you in your ears. Any last words on the rep games, boys, before we move on to a last little video clip I've got to share? Anything we want to round out on those rep games?
No, I just wanted to thank all the leagues really for coming to Newcastle tomorrow to enjoy a spectacle. Thanks to Bar TV for getting it on the screen. It'll be great working with the two of you fellas tomorrow, and a special thanks to the coaches who've given up their time to coach the teams over the weekend. It's a lot of work. Nathan Harkness, he doesn't muck around when he takes jobs on. He works and gives 100%. 110%. Kate Handley would do the same thing. The selectors from the women's team would have done the same thing. You've got players who give up their weekend when they could have easily take a weekend off, but they're doing it to represent their competitions tomorrow. So wish all the sides tomorrow all the very best. We can't wait to cover it on Bar TV. And, I'm very excited that rep footy's back, fellas, and I hope they can get this right tomorrow, just in Chops, exactly what Chop said. If they get this right tomorrow, set it up early in the year, and let's just get back and have some rep footy. And look, Peter Van Dam sums it up. You can't beat rep footy. There's nothing better than representing your team, representing your league, and showing the other leagues what it's about. I loved rep footy as an umpire. So, I just wish all the players, the coaches, the umpires, and all the leagues all the best tomorrow, and which should be a beautiful day in terrific conditions.
Yep, Pete Van Dam, of course, our Black Diamond competition, AFL HCC, most capped representative player of all time. I don't think his record of 12 I think it's 12 representative carnivals he's been a part of, including the famous 2006 one. He was a part of that. I don't think that'll ever be beaten. So don't get more passionate than Peter Van Dam, who just sent us a message. Good to hear from you, Pete, mate. Thank you very much for that. I'm just going to say this. I bought these little blackboards, especially.
There we go. The tips.
Okay. I bought these little blackboards especially for reps. So I don't know.
Tipping boards.
I don't know why. They just seemed appropriate. So there they are, tipping boards. All right, that's what I reckon. The girls buy that, the boys buy that. That's in the matches against the South Coast. We don't know too much about the other two regions. Rep footy's here. Can't wait. Bring it on. Turn up, boys. When you cross that line, it's all on. You're doing it for the region. So get into it. This is the closest I'll ever get to representative football and senior footy. So, yeah, let's make it happen. I can't wait.
Indeed. And so, tomorrow we'll be up at Pasterfield. We were there last week and we saw something pretty special last week as well. I'm going to try sharing my screen here again, boys, because, oh no, I'm not. Which one have I got? This one here. Let's see if we can make this work. And I don't know whether the sound's going to work, but we saw a pretty special grab by DJ Stewart. I'm going to hit play, and hopefully you can hear it. But let's have a look at what we saw on Saturday.
Walker on this occasion has chopped off that rebound. So
that's probably Boothler's worst kick of the game so far as he gets opportunity. Stewart, what a hanger.
And wasn't that a cracker, boys?
Yeah, terrific grab. One for the Bar TV Mark of the Year highlight reels.
Oh, we can't hear Chop now. What's Chop saying?
Might have cut his sound out.
We've lost his sound again. Oh no. we can't hear.
Mate, I reckon that might be enough for the evening, my friends. I think we've wrapped it up on a beautiful grab. Chop, can't wait to call with you tomorrow, mate. And Shane, your sensational camera views and your wide lens work are going to be terrific at Pasterfield tomorrow. It's a great place to call the game. It's a great place to be able to have on camera. And we can't wait to look after proceedings for everyone on Bar TV tomorrow from 11 a.m.
Look forward to seeing you then, gentlemen. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Get yourself well rested. You've got 3 games to call tomorrow, but I know you boys are the best in the business. So look forward to we'll look forward to seeing how that all goes tomorrow. Before we get the final word from Chop, he says bye. I say bye. Thank you, everyone.
No worries, fellas. Bye for now.
Today.
We'll see you all at 11 o'clock tomorrow.
Indeed.